So we have just finished the dream Gemaras, and we're going to start the new Gemara. The Gemara talks about place that idol worship has been uprooted from. And the Gemara that we concluded, let's just mention a few of the things or review a drop of what we learned yesterday. So we said that there's 5 things that are 1/60th. Fire is 1/60th of hell. Honey is 1/60th of the manna. Shabbos is 1/60th of Olam Haba when Mashiach comes. Sleep is 1/60th of death. A dream is 1/60th of prophecy. And then we said there are 6 things that are good for a chayla, for a sick person. Itush, which means sneezing. Zeya, sweating. Shilshul, which means diarrhea. Keri means seeing a wet dream. And Shena is sleeping. V'chaloim, and dreaming. And brought different verses. And then the Gemara says there are 6 things that heal a person from his sickness, and one of them is cabbage. Another is beets. Cabbage, beets, and this other thing called sisin, yavation, dry sisin, which is some type of a vegetable, which we said in Aram, something about foil in Old French. Folly is some type of a vegetable called that, and then it mentioned keva, like the stomach of an animal. A heres is the womb of the animal, and the animal's diaphragm. And some say that small fish are also, they heal a person. Not only that, but they strengthen a person and they make him fruitful. So that's these are things that heal a person. Again, I don't know that a person should do these things, because it could be that the nature of the way the way things were not necessarily does these things might have changed. And not necessarily should someone rely on these health benefits before asking a medical advice. Then the Gemara mentioned 10 things that cause a person to become sick again. Chas v'shalom. One of them is, the Gemara says a person eats meat of an ox, fatty meat, roasted meat, chicken or bird meat, a roasted egg, and tiglachas, which seems like some type of, takes a haircut. Shachalayim is some type of vegetable that a person eats it. Chalav and kvina, milk and cheese. Merchotz, bathing. And some say even nuts. And some say even kishuim, cucumbers. Or could be kishuim, maybe means something like squash or zucchini. Anyway, then the Gemara mentioned that this kishuim, whatever it is, if it does mean zucchini or means cucumbers, it's considered very bad for the body, like a sword. I'm going to ask, but we find that Rebbe and Antoninus, the 2 great people, Antoninus was the emperor of Rome, and Rebbe, being the leader of the Jewish people, they both were so wealthy that they always had kishuim on their table. And it must be that it was considered beneficial. If it was dangerous, and maybe they wouldn't have had it on their table. It says they had this kishuim always. So my answer is the difference between if they're large or they're small. So maybe not a good idea to eat large zucchinis or large cucumbers. I don't know. But again, it could be that our the nature of the world has changed to some extent, and maybe they're not dangerous anymore. Then the Gemara mentioned about a person dreaming about he sees a corpse in his house. It means it's a good sign of peace. If he sees the corpse eating and drinking, it's a sign that it's a good sign for the house. if the corpse was taking kalim, vessels, or utensils out of the house, it's a bad sign. And Rav Papa said it's talking about shoes or sandals. And then it says that anything that that's taken out of that a corpse takes out of the house is a good sign, except for shoes or sandals. And anything that a corpse puts in a house is a good sign, except dirt or mustard, which somehow imply something to do with burial, the earth for burial. Okay, now we're up to the next Gemara. Makam shenekar mena avedus ilulim. So the Mishnah said that a person who sees where an idol was uprooted, we're on page 57b, but we're quoting the Mishnah that we had on page 54. So we're on 57b, and we're towards the end of the page, maybe about 12 lines from the bottom, maybe 13 lines from the bottom. Malcolm Shenekar Meno Avedis Galulim, Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis learned, Haraya Markulis. A person sees Markulis. This is a type of idol worship where they would throw stones onto this this idol. And so if a person sees that, Omer, he says, Baruch Shanasan Erach Apayim Lo'ivre V'tzoyim. Blessed he who gives, has mercy to those that transgress God's will. And what that means is that that Hashem is allowing this to exist. So we're thanking Hashem that we see that He has erech apayim, He has mercy even to those who transgress His will. So the understanding is that this is like proof how much more so is Hashem going to have mercy to those that fulfill His will. So it's a sign of mercifulness of Hashem that we're praising. Now, Makam Shenekar Meno Avedis Kechavim, place that it's uprooted these idols. Omer, he says, Baruch Shakar Avedis Kechavim Me'artzenu, blessed is Hashem who uprooted these idols from our land. So the question is, why does it start off talking about Markulis? Why doesn't it just say general idols? Why does it pick Markulis? So it could be that the author of this brisa, in his area, that was the idol that was worshipped. There was Markulis, this type of idol. So that could be why it mentions this idol, Markulis. But there's another explanation here that says that you don't just recite this bracha anytime you see an idol. It's when they establish an idol. When they establish an idol, that's when you would have to say this bracha. Now, if that's so, that's only when it's placed there and when it's built. So if that's so, Markulis is a very unique idol worship because they would throw stones to it, and it became bigger every time they threw a stone onto it. So it's considered like it was built. And because of that, you would say a bracha on Markulis, because that was an idol that was just built. Other idols, you'd only recite the bracha once when it actually was built. But this idol, every time you would see it, you would say a bracha because it was built up more. So you would say a bracha. And
Rabbi,
yeah,
if you ever look at American dimes, a dime,
yeah.
the old time dimes, from the 1960s and before, the early 60s. They were made of silver. And on the back side of the dime is a picture of Marculus, of Mercury, in the American dimes. You know what I'm talking about?
If you look at an old dime, what is it a symbol? What is it a?
And an old American dime, at a certain
Yeah.
point in time in the early 60s, they changed from silver to other metals. So
Okay.
the ones that were made of silver, the American dimes from like from 1960 and before, on the front side was a picture of one of the presidents, and on the flip side was a picture of Mercury, of Marculus.
Is that how they translate Marculus? Is Mercury? Is that the translation?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm. Interesting. Okay. I wonder what that you really have to say. Hashem had mercy on this if it's referring to the Marculus idol that it lasted so long. But I don't think so. I think it's just
the skinny little guy with the wings coming out of his ankles, running around. That was Mercury. I remember the dimes.
Wait. So this is the idol Mercury. It was an idol.
It was a symbol that they made for the Roman god, Mercury. That was the picture they used to make for him. He was fast.
He was what?
Fast. Mercury, because it's the planet that circles the sun the fastest.
Right.
It moves faster. So he was swift.
So there was a person by the name of Mercury and an emperor?
All of these Getchkes, no, they were just names of people and symbols and stories. And he was supposedly winged, and you saw little wings coming off of his ankles. That's all.
Interesting. Yes, Mordechai.
That dime, it's called a Mercury dime. However, the image is of Lady Liberty wearing a winged cap. So it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be the god Mercury. It's supposed to be Lady Liberty wearing a winged cap. However, it reminded people of the god. So it was not actually a god on it.
Okay. Well, in any event, yeah, thanks for bringing it up. I'm not familiar with any of that. Yes, Ben.
Who needs to say the blessing on Mercury or on Marculus?
Say that again.
You said you have to say. It says you have to say Baruch Shenatan. You do a blessing on an idol.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean Mercury. You see the planet. It means Mercury, the idol Mercury.
Right. So do we have to say a blessing when we see the idol?
I don't know. Do you ever see this idol?
No. Not that I know of.
Right. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but I'm saying, are they asking us to say a blessing when we see that idol?
So, so officially there would be a bracha to say it. Now, Tosfos talks about that we don't say it anymore, this bracha. And Tosfos is following the logic that this would apply to all idols, not just Marculus. And based on that, he's saying maybe you should say it when you walk by, a church or, some other idols, other religions, Buddhism, maybe their idols.
Ask us to say a curse when we pass by an idol?
There also a pasuk. Yeah,
that's my question.
There is a pasuk that you're supposed to say also, but this is the bracha that you say. This is the official bracha.
You're supposed to say a bracha on the bed. Is that the idea here?
Well, it's emphasizing Hashem's mercy, Hashem's mercifulness.
I see.
Now, Tosfos does say that our minhag is not to say this. Ein anu regilim levarech, and he has an interest.
There's a lot of churches you pass. I never say anything.
So he says something along those lines that these brachas are when you're going to see it once every 30 days, and we see these every day. So you don't say the bracha. That's what Taisus says.
My second question is, how do we see an idol? Because we don't go into a church.
So that's
outside. You don't see an idol from outside.
It depends where you go to. Certain houses, they have idols. You walk by, see the idol. Some churches probably have an idol outside. Inside, they don't know what to do with all their idols. I don't know. I'm just saying. There's like I think the Buddhists have these idols all over the place. I don't know.
Buddha.
No, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Rabbi.
Yes, Moshe.
It's very common today. You go by, there's statues all over the place, water statues with naked women and naked men with, water coming out of their bodies, and stuff like that, and it's.
But is that an idol, or that's just some?
Art? Yeah. I mean, they sometimes it's almost they put it out like almost like a avodah zarah. They put it in front of their home. They have you'll find tours, especially during their holidays. You see.
Talking about the Christians, right?
Yeah, right.
They have
exactly.
some picture of their God. I don't know.
I want to mention one other thing, Rabbi. I want to backtrack a little bit about the shoes. The shadim or the spirits that take the shoes out of the home. You mentioned that's where maybe the idea of us not wearing shoes from another person. But I think there's more to it than that. I think you don't want to follow in the footsteps of somebody who may have had a bad fate. That's I think that's where that concept came from.
Right. I didn't really go into it so much. I just said maybe this could be a mistaken source.
But that's what I heard.
Where it came from. But okay, fine. Okay, interesting. Okay, thanks for adding that insight. Okay. Anyway, in any event, the Gemara mentions here about reciting this bracha, and so it's either Markulis was the example given because that's the idol that was around, or Markulis is only Markulis because that's an idol that's built up. It's commonly built up because they keep throwing rocks at it, which ends up adding to the actual idol. And so it's continuously being built, and therefore you would say the bracha on an idol that's newly built. And then when a Avodah place of idol worship is uprooted, or when an idol is uprooted, so you would say this other bracha of Baruch Sha'akar Avedas Kochavim Me'artzenu, who uprooted from our land idol worship, and you also add on another sentence because Shem Shenekra Mimakam Zeh, the same way it was uprooted from this place, Kain Teyaker Mikol Mekaymes Yisrael, so should it be uprooted from all places of Israel. V'hashev Levi dehem liavdecha, and return the hearts of those that worship it to worship you. Uvachutz la'aretz, and outside of Israel, ein tzarich loymar, you don't have to say v'hashev Levi dehem liavdecha, bring back and return the hearts of those that worship it to worship you, because Sharuba Oivdei Kochavim, because the majority of the land outside of people that live outside of Israel is Oivdei Kochavim, idol worshippers. And since it's the majority, you wouldn't say you wouldn't say return the hearts of those that worship them to worship you. In Eretz Yisrael, you're referring to the Yidden that return the hearts of those that worship idols. Unfortunately, there was a lot of idol worship amongst the Yidden, and we don't have a desire anymore to worship idols, but there was a very big desire before the rabbis fasted many fasts and prayed many prayers to get rid of the desire for idol worship. And that's why people nowadays don't have a desire for idol worship. But there was a great desire for idol worship. And so when you say this bracha, you also add that sentence that the same way it's removed here, it should be removed from all places, and return the hearts of those that worship to worship you. So that is the That is the blessing that was recited. Now, Reb Shimon ben Elazar argues. Reb Shimon ben Elazar Aimer, he says, "Af b'chutz la'aretz tzarich loymar." You also should say this bracha even outside of Israel, and say this statement that bring back the hearts of those that worship it to worship you. Why would you say it outside of Israel? Because even the non-Jews are going to convert. Shenemar, as it says, when Mashiach comes, I will then change the nations, that they will have a clear language, and what that means is, and they will serve Hashem. They will call in Hashem's name, and so the concept is that that ultimately the nations of the world are also going to get rid of their idols. Now, it doesn't really clarify if this means that they're going to really convert and become Jewish. It says that they're going to convert, but that conversion could mean ger toshav. They won't worship idols. It could mean that they're going to become a convert, meaning that to get rid of the idol worship and keep the Noahide laws. So it's a little unclear if it means that they're going to actually convert and become Jewish. But either way, they're going to get rid of the idol worship, and that would allow you to be a reason for you to make this prayer that may Hashem, get the same way he uprooted this one, he should uproot all of these idols, and may he return the hearts of those that worship them to worship you. Yes, Ben.
I want to say, I think what it means is the Jews that were working idols, they will come back to Judaism, not the Goyim.
So that is the reason why there would be a difference in Israel or outside of Israel. That would be the first view. That in Israel you say this, and outside of Israel you don't. And the reason why not?
But you say it to bring the Jews back to their religion.
Right. And you're referring to the Jews.
Even outside Israel, there are Jews that are influenced by it. You want to bring them back.
Yeah, the only thing is that the first opinion says you wouldn't do that. Only in Israel you do it. You'd say this because the majority of people are not Jewish outside of Israel, so you don't have to say it. According to Reb Shimon ben Elazar, the reason you say it is because you want even the Goyim to actually come back, because it says that even the Goyim, all the nations, it says the nations are going to change. So it's referring to the non-Jews.
Rabbi?
That Reb Shimon ben Elazar is referring to. Yes, Moshe.
Very briefly, I know I want you to continue, but you made a point because it applies to what's happening just right now that I saw in the news, that many Christians are leaving the church and they're becoming more secular. So I don't know if that has any impact on what you're saying, but that's what I read, and it was in the news. In fact, It may have even been on Yeshiva World. I'm not sure where I saw it, but that's what's actually happening right now. Whether it's more from a Gashmiut, more involvement with Gashmiut that's driving them away from it, or whatever it might be. But that's what I read an article that they're leaving the church and they're becoming more secular, in their orientation.
Right.
I just want to point that out because you brought up, this is exactly on target with what I just read.
Okay. Now, the Rambam actually brings this opinion. When he talks about the laws of Brochos, that that you'd say this bracha even chutzlar, it's even outside of Israel. So it seems that maybe as Moshe is saying that this is how the Rambam holds that this is the way it's going to be, that all the nations. Well, I mean, it's clear that it's going to be this way, but you would even say this bracha. Maybe this is happening now. In other words, it is a pasuk that they are going to come to worship Hashem. So thank you for bringing that up, Moshe. So the Gemara now continues and says, Darish Rav Hamnuna Darshan, he expounded and said, Haraya Bavel Harisha, person who sees the wicked Bavel. Bavel destroyed the Beis Hamikdash. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Bavel, he destroyed the first Beis Hamikdash. And the second one was destroyed by the Romans. First one was destroyed by Bavel. The Gemara says that if you see Bavel, you see it's referring to when you see it in its destruction, meaning there's nothing left really of the original Babylon. So a person sees it. You have to say 5 brachas. Ra Bavel, you saw Bavel. Omer, you say Baruch Shehechriv Bavel Harisha. Blessed is Hashem who destroyed the wicked Bavel. Ra Beisai Shel Nebuchadnezzar, you see the house of Nebuchadnezzar, probably some type of palace or whatever. You'd see that. You say, Omer Baruch Shehechriv Beisai Shel Nebuchadnezzar Harasha. Blessed is Hashem who destroyed the house of Nebuchadnezzar the wicked. What about if you see the lion's den where Daniel was thrown into? He was dumped into the lion's den, and a great miracle happened that they did not eat him. And or if you saw the furnace that Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were forced into. If you see that furnace where miraculously they walked out alive, unburned. If a person sees that, he should say, Omer Baruch Sha'asa Nisim Lavisenu B'Makim Hazeh, blessed is Hashem who made miracles to our forefathers in this place. And that is obviously in Babylon, and so that's another thing that if a person were to see there, you would say that bracha. Those two locations, the Goy Varoyos and the Kivshon Ha'esh. Then Ra'a Markulis, if a person saw Markulis, he would say Baruch Shanasan Erech Apayim Levrei Ritzaynai, as we just mentioned earlier, that blessed is Hashem who has mercy even to those who transgresses them. Ra'a Makim Shanaitlan Menu Afar. Now you see a place where they take Afar. Afar means that Rashi gives us 2 interpretations over here. That it's either I'm not really sure how this works, but there was some area in Bavel that you could not take an animal out of there unless you would put earth from that area on top of it. And it's a symbol of destruction. But an animal wouldn't be able to leave the place unless you put some of the earth on that animal. Something to do with the curse of Bavel. I don't know if there's any research done. I wonder if there's any research done to where this place is in Bavel, that there would be no, you could not get an animal to leave unless you had some earth from that place on it. That would be interesting to find if there's any location where we found this. But that's one of the explanations here. Or another explanation is that there's one place in Babylon where they take earth for building, and that place has never been built up. It can't be built up because they're constantly taking earth from that area, and nothing grows there. So whatever the pshat is, it's either referring to this location where animals can't leave unless they have earth on them, or it's a place where they take earth to build. Either way, if you see that place, you say this bracha, Baruch Omer v'Yoseh Goizer Umakayim. Blessed is he who says and does, decrees, and fulfills his decrees. And basically, Hashem promised that this will not be built up. And sure enough, he is fulfilling his decree. It'll be a place of destruction, and it's still in its destruction state. Okay, then the Gemara says that Rava ki have a chazi chamri. When Rava would see donkeys, the shakli afra, that they were carrying earth, which seemingly is either they were carrying earth because they couldn't leave unless they had some earth on them, or it means that they were carrying earth from that location to build. And that's the point is that location, wherever they're getting the earth from, is a location of destruction, that it is connected to the fact that Babylon was cursed, that it's going to be destroyed, and it's still happening now. In other words, it's still destroyed, and therefore Rava would this is what he would do. Tarif lu yadal gabayu, he would slap them on their back, the donkeys, va'amar, and he would say, Rehutu tzadike lemevad reusa demaraichu. Rehutu means run. You tzadike calls them the righteous donkeys, that you're doing the reusa demaraichu, the will of your mara, of your master. That which means that the fact that Babylon is destroyed, that is part of the will of the master. In other words, it's in connection to this Gemara that we're talking about this, that it's part of the destruction of Babylon. So he says, run and do to perform this desire of your master, that you're fulfilling this curse, whatever, something to do with the earth, either and something to do with the fact that it's not built up, either that the animals can't leave there unless they take earth, or they have to they take earth from this area that it never will be built up. Now, Mar Berei de Ravina, he have a mate Bavel, when Mar Berei de Ravina would reach Bavel, come to Bavel, have a shakel afra besudre. He would take some of the earth in his handkerchief, the shadi labara, and throw it outside. L'kayim mashenamar, to fulfill what it says, but tetesia metatea hashmeid, with a broom. Metatea is a broom, that I will sweep with a broom of destruction. That's the verse that it's fulfilling. So this is all connection to the destruction of Babylon. Amar Rav Ashi said, I didn't know about Rav Hamnuna's law about reciting all those brachas. You go to Bavel, you have to say this bracha and say that bracha. I didn't know that. But I based it on my das, on my own understanding. I made these brachas myself. From my own understanding, I recited the brachas. They recited all of these brachas. And now we turn the page to page 58a. Amar Rav Yirmiyah bar Elazar. Rav Yirmiyah bar Elazar says that Nisgalala Bavel, Nisgalalu Shcheneha. When Bavel was destroyed, its neighbors were destroyed. This is a famous saying, Oila Rasha, Oila Shchena. Rashi brings this, that woe is to the wicked and woe is to those that are neighbor with the wicked, because you somehow get part of the punishment. So Bavel was cursed, Nisgalala Bavel, so was its neighbor cursed as well, and that is which we'll soon see what it refers to. Nisgalala Bavel, Nisgalala Shchinah, Dechsiv, as it says, V'samtiha l'moirash kipoid va'agamim moyim. I will make Babylon, l'moirash kipoid. I will make it for a Yerusha, an inheritance for the kipoid. Kipoid is, Rashi says, are chayos and oifos ra'im umazikim es hashchein. These are evil birds that are destructive birds, and they damaging birds. And the agme mayim, and I will make it. So I will make Bavel inheritance of these wild birds, and agme mayim, marshes of water, pools of water, and basically the birds are going to take over. However, when Shomron was cursed, her neighbors were blessed, because it says, "Samti Shomron li'i hasada l'matoi kerem." I will place Shomron, which is the northern area of Israel, to make it a hasada, a heap in the field, and the matoi karem, a place for the planters of vineyards. So when Shomer was destroyed, it actually was what became a sort of like a blessing for those around it. Now, the Gemara then says, a person sees a large amount of Yidden. And what this refers to is, Rashi says it's 60 10,000s, which means 600,000. So if you see Achloise Yisrael, you say a certain bracha, Baruch Chacham Harazim, blessed is Hashem, who is the wise one of the razim of secrets, which means that Hashem knows every thought of man, and that's a special bracha. So if you're in a place where there's 600,000 Yidden, you would say this bracha. Now, what about if you were amongst 600,000 idol worshippers? Then you would say another pasuk that talks about the more of a disgrace. The pasuk that the pasuk that it refers to is pasuk in Jeremiah. Boisha umchem mo'oid chafra yoladetchem hine achrus goya midbar tzia va'arava. This is a pasuk in Jeremiah. That if you see the multitudes of idol worshippers, so you'd say Boisha umchem goymer. And I just read you the entire pasuk, which means that your mother is very embarrassed. Your birth is in a disgrace. Behold, the end of the nations is midbar tzia va'arava, some desert of thirst, and I guess it means in willows. Anyway, so the idea is that that if you see that amount of Yidden, we praise Hashem about how Hashem knows what's in the mind of every single of every single person. Tano Rabbanon, the rabbis learned, so the rabbis learned that if you see this amount, 600,000 Yidden, so you would say this Baruch Chacham Harazim, blessed is Hashem who knows the secrets. Because each person has a different way of thinking. Their minds are not similar to each other. Their faces are not similar to each other. And Hashem knows the thoughts of each and every person. Now, what this means is that your mind is visible through your face, your facial, the way your face shines or your face is shaped. It somehow reflects what that your views, which is an interesting thing. So it mentions both. Yeah, their minds are not the same and their faces are not the same, meaning like one is interdependent on the other. The Gemara continues, says, Ben Zayma Ra Echlusa. Ben Zayma saw this very large amount of Yidden. Allah Al Gab Maila Baharabayas. He saw it on a step on the Temple Mount that he was looking from that high place. He was able to see this very large amount of Yidden. And Amar, and he said the bracha, Baruch Chacham Harazim. Uvaruch Shabaruch Kol Elu L'Shamsheni, and he also said a bracha, blessed is Hashem who created all to serve me. And and what does that mean, that he says this bracha created all of these to serve me? So this is a topic of discussion in the commentaries, but maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. We're gonna just move a little forward. He used to say that Kama Yagiyos Yaga Adam Arishain. How many hard toiling did Adam Arishain do Ad Shemotza Pas Lechel, until he found bread to eat? He had to do so much. Charash, v'zara, v'kotzar. He plowed, he planted, he harvested. V'amar, v'dash. He had to gather everything together and dash, thresh it, v'zara, and winnow it to separate the chaff and berer. And he picked out the
sorting it out.
What is that?
Sorting it out.
Sorting. The tachan, and he grounded it. The hirkid, he sifted it. The lush, and he kneaded it. Va'afa, and he baked it. V'achar kach ochal, and afterwards he ate. Va'ani mashkim, u'moitza kolela masukanin lefanai, and I get it all ready for me. But Kama Yagiyos Yaga Adam Arisha, and how much hard work did he do at Shematza Begad Lilbais, till he found a garment to wear? Gazas v'libein v'nipeitz. He had to cut the wool, the libein to whiten it, v'nipeitz to brush it, v'tava to spin it, v'arag to weave it, v'achakach matza begad lilbais, and then he was able to have a garment. I have it all prepared before me. All the nations come to the entrance. They're shoyked uva lepesach basi. They're like they have alacrity in their very very diligent in coming to the entrance of my house, and va'ani mashkim kol elul lefanai, and I get up early and I have everything before me. And what that means is Ben Simon was very wealthy, and everything was ready for him. So when he said this bracha, he added this statement of how everything is available for him, and implying as if the 600,000 people are sort of like providing for him. So then the Gemara says, "Hu haya omer," he used to say, "Oirech oireach toiv mahu omer." What does a good guest, proper guest, say? So it says like a person who's traveling, and so it says, "Kama trochais torach balabayas b'shvili." How much bother did the balabayas, the owner of the house, bother for me? Kama basar hevi lefanai. How much meat did he bring before me? Kama yayin hevi lefanai. How much wine did he bring before? Kama gluskois hevi lefanai. How many rolls did he bring before me? And kama kol masha tarach like tarach ela b'shvili, all that he troubled himself and bothered himself with, it was all for me. What does the bad guest say? Ma tarach balabayazeh. What did he do for me? What bother did he do for me? Pas one bread. One slice. I drank one cup worth. All that he did, he really did for his wife and children. He didn't do it for me. He did it for them. And so he basically was saying like the appropriate way of praising and thanking. And he said that a bad guest just thinks of how they did nothing for me, but a proper guest is appreciative. And we have to be thankful for everything that Hashem gives us. Now, al oirech toiv mahu aimer, what does it say about a good guest? So zachar ki saski pa'oloi asher shoyreru anoshim. Remember that you respect, you give honor, you praise his work, that the people that people see. And on a bad guest, about a bad guest, it says, Lachein yereyuhu anoshim. It says, let me tell you the whole pasuk. Lachein yereyuhu anoshim lo yira kol chachmei leiv. Yereyuhu anoshim, people fear him. He does not see wise people of the heart. And so the different people see things different ways. I'm sorry. The next Gemara then says that when you see a large amount of people, it says that in the days of Shaul, the man was old. He came with men. That's a pasuk in Shmuel Aleph. Let me get the whole pasuk here.
Baba Anashim, maybe a lot of people.
Ben David, the whole pasuk. Let me read the whole pasuk. Ben David ben Ish Ephrasi Hazeh mi Beis Lechem. David was from the place of the city of Ish Ephrasi, from this area, from Beis Lechem and Yehuda. Ushma Yishai. His name was Yishai. That's his. He was the son of the Ish Ephrasi. Beis Lechem Yehuda. His father's name was Yishai. V'loy Shmeina banim. He had 8 sons. Va'ish b'mei Shaul zaken ba nashim. And the man was. What does this refer? What does this mean? So Amar Rava v'Temer Rav Zvid v'Temer Rav Oishaya Ze Yishai Avi David. This is Yishai, the father of David. And what about him? Sheyatza b'ochlusa. He went out with a multitude of people. V'nechnas b'ochlusa. He also entered with a large amount of people, and v'darash b'ochlusa, and he lectured with a large amount of people. So it mentions this ba'anashim. It's referring to this idea of hanging out with large groups. He was always entering and coming with a large multitude of people. Amar Ula says Naktina neina chlusa b'Bavel. We hold, Naktinon means like we have a rule that eina chlusa b'Bavel. You don't say this bracha in Bavel when you see this large amount of people, that it's only said in Eretz Yisrael. Not you wouldn't recite such a bracha when you see a large amount of people in Bavel and Babylon. Tana eina chlusa b'chlusa mishishim riboy. And now the Gemara clarifies how much is this is a chlusa. It means 60 10,000s. 60 10,000s means 600,000. That when you see that amount of people, that's when you say this special bracha. Now the Gemara continues and says, Tana Rabbana Re'ach Chachmei Yisrael. If you see a wise sage among Klal Yisrael, Torah scholars, Omer, you say Baruch Chalach Mechachmasa Liyareyav, he who gave a portion of his wisdom to those that fear him, thanking Hashem for giving a portion of his wisdom. If you see a very wise, goyim who worship idols, you say Baruch Shanasan Mechachmasei Libriyosav. You don't say Liyareyav, you say Libriyosav. He gave from his wisdom to his creations. And there's another version here, Livnei Adam, to people. Either say to creations or to people. Haraya Malchi Yisrael, a person sees the kings of Klal Yisrael. In other words, a person sees a Jewish king. He says, Blessed is Hashem who gave from his portion of honor to those that fear him. So again, for a Torah scholar, you say from his wisdom. But for a king, a Jewish king, you would say, gave from his honor to those that fear him. And Malchei of Kochavim, in front of a Goyish, a king, you would say, Baruch Shanasim Mikvoidai Libriyosav, blessed is Hashem who gives from his honor to his creations. I remember when people were offered to go to one of the presidents in the White House, they were wondering did they say any of this bracha that Baruch Shanasan Mikvoidai Libriyosav, but I don't think they did, because he's not a real king. It's really for a king. As far as I know, I don't think they actually say it.
What about for the Queen of England? And the rabbis in England saw her?
England, maybe in England's a different story. I have to find out. Rabbi Yochanan says, "Loilam yishtadel adam larutz." Person should he should try to run likras malchei Yisrael to greet a Jewish king. But likras malchei Yisrael bovad, not only a Jewish king, likras malchei of dekachavim, even a non-Jewish king. Shem yizke, because if he merits yavchen bein malchei Yisrael malchei of dekachavim, he will be able to see the difference between a Jewish king and a non-Jewish king. And we once had this Gemara. It's a little vague what it refers to. What does it really mean? that you will get to see the difference between the Jewish king and the not Jewish king. And Rashi over here says that it refers to if you're Yizkel Lo'ilam Haba, if you merit the world to come, and you'll see in the honor of Melech HaMashiach, then you'll know the difference between the reward for mitzvahs more than the honor of the nations in this world. So it is a mitzvah to go to see a Jewish king and even to see a non-Jewish king. And the Gemara continues, and it says, Rav Sheshes Saginar, Rav Sheshes was blind. Everyone was going to greet the king. Come Azal Badai, Rav Sheshes went with them. Ashkecheu Tzeduki. So a Tzeduki, he didn't believe in Torah Shabbal Pei, didn't believe in the rabbis' interpretations. He said, Amarle, he said to Rav Sheshes, Chatzvi Lenara Kagni Laya. Chatzvi, whole pitchers are Lenara, go to the river. Kagni Laya, broken pitchers, where are they going to? Laya, to where do they go? What are they going for? In other words, you're blind, what are you going to see? So Amar Lei, so Rav Sheshes answered him, he said, Tochazi diadana tfeiminach. I know about this more than you do. Come and see that I know more than you do. Chalaf gunda kamaisa. The first group of soldiers passed. Kika avsha. When it was a lot of noise, Amar Leo Tzeduki, the Tzeduki said, Asa Malka, he told Rav Sheshes, the king came. Amalei Rav Sheshes says, Laika Asi. No, he didn't come. Chalaf Gunda Tinyana, another group of officers passed. Kika Avsha, when there was a lot of noise, Amalei Tzeduki, the Tzeduki said, Asha Kasi Malka, the king is coming. Amalei Rav Sheshes, Laika Asi Malka, the king is not coming. Now Rav Sheshes was blind. Chalaf Talisai, a third group passed. Kika Shaska, when it became quiet, Amalei Rav Sheshes says, Vadai Hashta Asi Malka, now is when the king is coming. Amalei Tzeduki, so the Tzeduki couldn't believe this. He couldn't believe Rav Sheshes knew that. He didn't see anything. Manolacha, how do you know this? Amalei Malchus Diarake Malchus Dirakia. The royal the kingdom of on earth is similar to the kingdom in heaven. And the Chsiv, as it says, Sevi Amarita, it says, Sevi Amarita Bahar Lefnei Hashem, Bin Hashem Oiver Ruach Gedoyla B'Chazik Barakar Mishavet Slam Lefnei Hashem Like Baruch Hashem. This is the famous verse that says that go and stand on the mountain before Hashem. Hashem is going to pass. There'll be a big Ruach Gedoyla B'Chazak, a very strong wind. And that breaks mountains and breaks the rocks, and it says v'achar ruach rash. Then after the wind is a
noise,
type of a noise, or and like barash Hashem, but Hashem is not there in that noise. And after the noise is fire, eish. Acharash is eish, loy ba'eish Hashem, but Hashem is not in the fire. After the fire is a sound of a very still sound, and that is the sound that you know that in other words, that's really the king. That's Hashem, and the same thing would apply to a king. A physical king would be the when it's quiet. That would be a sign when the king is coming. So Kiyasa Malko, and the king came, Pasach Rav Sheshes come a Varichle, Rav Sheshes said the bracha. So that he gave from his honor to creations, to his creatures. So Amar Leo Tzeduki, Laman Delay Chazas Leikom Mavarchas, you're making a bracha to someone that you don't see. So that's the the end of his discussion. My Havi Allah du Tzeduki, what happened to that Tzeduki? Ikadami, some say, Chavruik Kachlinu Le'enei. Some say that they literally they put some type of a paint in his eyes. Ikadami, some say Rav Sheshas Nasan Einav, by Rav Sheshas looked at him. Menasa Gal Shalatzamis, he became a heap of bones. So ultimately, he got punished for that. I guess for trying to trick Rav Sheshas that the king was coming, or to just being a tzeduki. Anyway, ultimately, he came to a bad ending, that tzeduki. But this is the story of going to see a king. Okay, we're going to stop here.